Sean, I'm going to share something with you that I don't know how public it's been made. I suspect there are some members of Congress who are aware of what happened. So in 2014, and by the way, for the record, I don't mind being in a situation that could compromise my safety if I'm serving my country, right? So 2014, I was put on the ISIS Al-Qaeda kill list for my work involving Guantanamo Bay. Right. And, proud service. By the way, for the record, not a great day for Mrs. Elizondo at that point, but that's neither here nor there. But I received a call about 3 years ago now. Might have been maybe almost 4. Dave Grusch and I had worked together in U.S. Space Force on this topic for the UAP task force at the time. A lot of people think when I left ATIP, I was it and I was gone. No, I still worked for the U.S. government. I received a call, and it was from a congressional staffer who had just gotten out of a classified briefing, and he was absolutely plastered, inebriated at the local watering hole there on the next Capitol Hill. And I said, "Hey, are you okay?" He says, "No. I was in a meeting where government officials had told myself and other staff and a member or two that there was a plan at one point, a discussion to eliminate you and Grusch." And then he said, "Look, I'm very upset by this."
Did I hear you right?
Yes, you absolutely heard me right. Correct.
Plan to eliminate you.
That's correct. And,
Kill you.
and whatever eliminate means. And then I received another call. Well, it's the reason why I have 5 German Shepherds and I'm heavily armed. I mean, it is what it is. And then immediately after that call, quite concerning, I received another call from another staffer who was, first thing he says, "Lou, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" He's like, "Well, you need to really watch yourself because there was discussions involving you and Grusch that some people were very upset with what you guys did. And there was actually discussion at one point."
Upset with what?
Having a conversation about this topic, I guess, without there being a plan to have this conversation. I don't know. I can only surmise based upon what I heard from other individuals.
I don't understand. What are they fearful of?
Well, there's
fear.
There's lots of things. So, Sean, this is a great question because you asked it earlier, and I think let me see if I can give you my perspective, just simply because being an ATIP and at the Pentagon and working with the intel
ATIP
community.
was a big deal, but you weren't there.
Yeah, right. Until they finally admitted that ATIP was real, right? It was, I think, Undersecretary of Defense Moultrie who said, "We did look at the ATIP files." Well, that's funny because if ATIP didn't exist, what files were you looking at? But anyways, neither here nor there. I think if you go back to the height of the Cold War, really, the Cold War, for the record, by the way, wasn't very cold. It was pretty hot. A lot of proxy wars going on, real national security implications, right? We just got burned with the secrets of the atom bomb being transferred over to the Russians, right? Changing the balance of power globally. So you have this military industrial complex that's making a lot of money, keeping America safe. They do a great job. The Lockheeds of the world, they put a lot of great products out there that keep our country free. But what happens, imagine a scenario where you have, and this is just one example, and by the way, let me backtrack here. There are 3 reasons why countries keep things secret. One is to keep secrets away from your enemies. One is to keep secrets away from your own people. And another reason is to maintain the social norms. And it doesn't seem like that would be a government's function, but they've done it. And I can give you examples.
Is there a fear that the population panics, that the American people panic?
Yes, there were 2 studies done back several decades ago. There were formal studies. One was by the Rand Corporation that said, if you actually have a conversation and tell the American people the truth about this topic, you can destabilize markets, you can destabilize religions.
Because during the Nixon.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then later, there was in 2004, another working group. I know 2 of the people that actually attended the meeting. It was sponsored by none other than the White House in 2004. And a meeting occurred to say, we're going to spend the next week determining whether or not we are going to have disclosure. And the scientists went in. They were super excited. They're like, oh, great. We're finally going to tell the American people the truth. At the end of that week, it was unanimous. Every single scientist agreed, we can't tell the truth yet. Now, I was not in that meeting, but several of my former colleagues were actually in that meeting, and they can tell you much more about it. You have financial issues. Here's a perfect example. Let's say you are company A, you are company B, and I'm a 3-star general in the Pentagon. Right. I find some interesting material here, and I slide it over to company A, right? Nothing to you. Now, 10 years later, company A becomes a multi-billion-dollar aerospace company. Company B, your company folds, you go bankrupt, 200 people lose their jobs, and not only that, your investors lose their investment. Now, there are SEC, Security Exchange Commission rules that prohibit this unfair advantage where I give company A something and company B, you don't get it, right? Because we have free competition in this marketplace in capitalism, especially here in the United States. So there is some real financial liability, because imagine now the next 2-3 decades down the road, the lawsuit that now trillions of dollars of taxpayer money has gone to this company, and it's now this multi-billion-dollar corporation. Where is the liability for people who worked in your company, right? How can you imagine the legal cottage industry that would ensue, and how much money? And by the way, he's too big to fail. You cannot bring down these companies because they are doing real national security work, like for real. So how do you protect them? And this goes kind of the amnesty discussion that Representative Burchett and his colleagues have been so instrumental on. I cannot tell you, I cannot emphasize enough what this man and his colleagues have been able to do for this country in just the last 4 years. I never would have believed it when I came out. And yet here we are. In a large part, what you're seeing with all this legislation is because of people like Representative Burchett, the man sitting right next to me in this chair. Now, there's
or Burchett, either one.
Or Burchett, I'm sorry. That's right, Burchett. Forgive me. Sorry, it's my Spanish coming out. I see the
all right, brother.
Burchett. And so that's one reason. Now, there's another reason too, that I remember I said there's reasons why we keep secrets. One is we worry about the populace. Case in point, 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered.
Remember.
It was years before the scientific community released the translations. Why? Because they were afraid of the impact on the Judeo-Christian belief system at the time. They saw it as a destabilizing force. What if these Dead Sea Scrolls contradicts the way we consider Christianity, Judaism today? So that's another issue. And then last but not least, the real issue is, do you really want to tip your hand to the fact to your adversaries? Yeah, we've been looking at this and we might have had some insight into how these things work. Maybe we know a little bit more than we're letting up, and letting on to. There's a lot of reasons why organizations would want to keep this type of information classified and hidden, even from the American people. The problem I have is when they keep it from people like him and they keep it from the president of the United States, that is no longer a legal activity.
Yeah, I was told in a secure environment that the president was on a need-to-know basis.
Think about that for a second.
Correct.
Who told you that?
Let me back up. It was not this president. It was the prior president, and it was the kid with the man bun. I don't remember his name. I go to so many stupid things. I just get...
Sean, think about that for a minute. Someone is making a unilateral decision in our government not to inform the president.